our channel. We're Earth Warriors. My name's Laura.
And I'm Anthony.
And today we're going to be talking about our birth plan and how it's changed a little bit since the last appointment that we had. We are now going to be doing an unassisted birth as opposed to a midwife-supported home birth. Which is going to be a little bit different because it means that Anthony's going to have to take over all of the care during labour.
So
and
hopefully it will mean you will just do the same thing you did last time. You basically done it on your own, but just the checks and everything rather than the midwife's doing it. I'll just be there. I've ordered all of the equipment like the cord clamps and things like that so that I'm prepared with every eventuality. You know, got lots of books on the way.
So we'll go through some of the equipment afterwards and we'll show you that in a little bit more detail, but basically what's happened is that Darlington have suspended home births indefinitely because of shaft shortages.
That's not a thing, is it?
Nope. Because of staff shortages and illness, probably due to COVID. They weren't massively specific. I think they've probably been told what to say and then they're not allowed to sort of express their opinion.
We've got two friends that have just had, they kind of had unassisted birth because they phoned the midwives, but they progressed so quickly that the midwives, I think, literally turned up at the last moment. So we've got a couple of friends that have just kind of been through it.
Yeah, so our last labour was 10 hours in total with CC, so we're expecting for it to be a little bit quicker this time. I know, we're expecting for it to be a little bit quicker this time. So we had already prepared for the fact that maybe the midwives wouldn't turn up in time. So we were already looking at the signs of an emergency and things like that. So
we'd already discussed phoning them at the absolute last moment and then asking them to wait out of the room that Laura was actually labouring in and calling them in at the very last moment. Essentially, I think with Cece's birth, I think the main part that they kind of helped with was with the crowning and letting you know that it was at that point where you can take a moment to, you know, stop any unnecessary tearing and things like that.
Yeah, so let's take a little look at our birth plan and what we had planned before this and what we'll still be carrying on with. We'll put up some slides as to like the specifics of what we've put into our birth plan, but essentially what you want to do when you do a birth plan is you want to you want to write down and print off a document that's about A4 size. You don't want reams and reams of paper because if it's a quick labour, the midwives need to be able to really look at it sharpish and deduce what you need from your birth plan. So we do bullet points. I'll do like a little cutaway so you can see this in a little bit more detail. So as you can see, our birth plan is fairly simple and clear. We use bullet points just to keep it fairly brief and so that anybody who needs to read it quickly can do so. We also have our maternity records handy and we'll have our filled colostrum syringes for when the baby arrives and also any documents that we have for the baby in a separate folder. We have underneath here a home birth documents folder which has got all the emergency documents in, or will do, with the books for the free birth. As you can see, it's set up into stages of labour, so anybody who needs to look at it can quickly see what we want from each stage, and there's also a little plan for Cece just to help her feel more comfortable too. So, oh, that's disgusting.
Oh, Cece.
Oh, that looks like a big old turd. With the birth space, first of all, we will be in the living room, so this is where we are now. With your birth space, you want to just decide what kind of lighting you want. It's better to have dim lighting, to have some soft music or hypnobirthing tracks playing, and to just basically decide what makes you feel calm, basically, and communicate that with your partner so they can help you set it up.
Because we've got the projector in this room, so we're going to have an aquarium projected on the wall, and we've got like surround sound in the room, so we'll have this entire room will just be a bubble that's protected from the outside world. That's what we want, really, isn't it?
then the first stage of labour, which is basically contractions that you can still speak through. I had a very active labour last time, so I was rolling about on the yoga ball, on the yoga mat, walking about. Anthony was massaging me and I was doing lots of stretching. So I like to be walking about and eating. Make sure you got loads of really nice snacks that are high protein and high energy. Things like energy bars and energy balls are really good.
You had lots of naked bars, didn't you?
I had lots of the date bars. Yeah, dates are really great for helping your cervix soften. So that's why you're normally asked to start eating dates towards the end of your pregnancy. And I also had this really amazing vegan jerky, which is just incredible. It's a really high protein snack and it's really not like bloating or anything like that. I had it before I had CC and it was amazing. You also want to look at maybe the birthing positions that you want to write down as well, things that you'll feel comfortable doing if you don't want to be on your back, because it's not really the best position to be in, but it might be for you. I didn't have any vaginal examinations. I didn't know how many centimetres I was dilated because I thought that it would actually do more bad than it would good last time. So I said no vaginal examinations.
I think the reason for that is because it can jump so dramatically. It's not like after half an hour you'll be 1, after an hour you'll be 2. It doesn't work like that. You could go from being 2 next time you're checked to being 8. So it's really it's not a good indication of how far through labour you are. Yeah. And it can put people off if they feel like they've been in labour for ages and then they're like, oh, you're only 3 centimetres. And that can really kind of dampen your flow.
Yeah. So I didn't have any examinations at all, and this time we would like to not have any fetal monitoring. That's if the midwives are going to be here. So this time, because we're looking at doing an unassisted birth, Anthony will be monitoring the baby's heart rate using a Doppler. The next stage is the transition stage, so this is where it starts to get really difficult, and you might not talk, you won't be able to speak through your contractions. So it's really important that your partner knows what they're doing and knows what you feel comfortable with. I don't feel comfortable being spoken to when I can't talk back, so you might need to come up with some sign language or something to help you communicate with your partner during that time.
Last time I was the gatekeeper. So no one spoke to Laura, everyone spoke to me, and then I told Laura the things that I thought were most important for her to know.
So on our birth plan it says please direct any questions to Anthony because I don't want to be spoken to basically while I'm trying to get in the zone. So the second stage is somewhere that you might want to write a little bit more detail. You might want the midwives to help you know when the baby is crowning so that they can help you reduce any risk of tearing your perineum when the baby is coming out. It's really important that you do it really slowly and calmly to avoid tearing. So that's a really good point. The midwives can help you if you do have midwives present. If not, then your partner can help by using a mirror. Or if you have had babies before, then you'll recognise that. I remember very clearly the feeling of crowning, so hopefully I will be able to recognise that this time round and coach myself through it if Anthony can't. Other things in here like mother-led pushing, catching who's going to catch the baby and things like that are all going to be included too. So I'll let you have a little look now at what we have put on our birth plan for this stage. So a lot of people focus on the actual labour as well and don't think about what's going to happen after the baby is born. And I know for us, I was very focused on just the baby being born. So you might want to look into some of the things that the midwives will be checking or that you should be checking after birth. There is a scale that the baby has to score on afterwards for signs of being able to breathe properly, that their blood is flowing to their body correctly and things like that. So that's really important. But in your birth plan, you'll just need to put things like whether or not you want to breastfeed, whether or not you want to wash your baby, whether or not you want the golden hour where you can sit and go skin to skin. Things like that all need to be included in this part of your birth plan. Yeah. You want to make sure that you think about what's going to happen once the baby is born, who's going to be holding the baby, how long you want. We've said do not rush us. We want our golden hour and we don't want the baby to be exposed to bright lights. Things like that are all going to be included in this part of your birth plan. You might also want to note down a section about emergencies. We've put emergencies in this section. Obviously we have CC now, so we have things in place in case I need to be transferred to hospital, in case our birth plan needs to be transferred to a hospital setting. Put all those things into this section about emergencies, and I'll show you what we have written here. So now we're just going to talk a little bit quickly about the fact that we are now preparing to birth unassisted, which means that the midwives won't be here, we won't have any medical professionals here, and in the case of an emergency we will have to ring 999. Anthony has taken it upon himself to go out and get lots of equipment for checking me and the baby afterwards and also through labour. So Anthony also has this really cool book which is more helpful information on how to help during labour as the birth partner. Also, this is actually the pocket that I keep all my snacks in. I have currently eaten them all, so I need to replenish them. The side pocket is going to contain all of the sterilised instruments such as the cord clamp and the cord scissors. They'll be sterilised before obviously I go into labour, so they are ready. We also have a nasal aspirator as well, just in case there's any excess fluid in the baby's nasal passages. There's still a little bit of water left in there, so that needs to dry out a little bit.
I think the thing I worry about most is recognising the signs for any, possible issues that could go on during labour, because I currently don't know any of them. So I've ordered some books. We'll link the books down in the description that I'm going to be reading so that I have all of the information. I really don't think it will come to that, because with CC everything went perfect and there wasn't any issues. But just for peace of mind, I'd like to know everything and be a little bit of an expert in this field, because at the end of the day you've got 2 lives that you're looking after, and they're in your hands, so it's really important. So we'll also have a cord tie for once it's been cut, and we're hopefully going to have a nice cloth one so it's sensitive on the baby's skin, because last time I think it was a plastic one which can rub because it's right against their belly.
An important thing to note about cord ties, if they have been crocheted or they're made of wool or yarn, something like that, is to make sure that you sterilise them before you use them. You boil it for 5, 10, 15 minutes and then you freeze it in a bag before you're going to use it. It's really important so that you don't transfer any bacteria to the newborn baby, and that you keep it as clean as you can and away from their nappy so that it doesn't get soiled with anything, basically, because they're a lot harder to clean than plastic clamps.
It's the same with the scissors and the clamps as well. Everything needs to be sterile. We'll sterilise it, it's been sterilised and put in a bag so that it's not going to be touched right up until the moment that it's needed.
The great thing about birthing unassisted is that women have been doing it for thousands of years anyway, so we don't need anything other than our arms to give birth. The baby will come and we'll know what to do. We have really good parenting instincts, and like Anthony said, the only situation is in an emergency. If we thought something was wrong, obviously we'll have a Doppler available and also a stethoscope for heart rate purposes. If we believe that there is something wrong during labour, Anthony will know the signs and we'll be able to call 999 immediately.
We would never take this on if we had any doubts. If there was any complications during Laura's pregnancy, then we wouldn't take this risk, because it's not worth it. But because everything's been so perfect, the same as it was with CC, we don't see any reason why we can't do this ourselves.
Yeah. So that's it for our birth plan video. I hope that this has been useful if you're considering birthing unassisted or if you're writing a birth plan. We'll link some support links below in the description if you are struggling to find any research on birthing unassisted, or if you are finding yourself in a position where you haven't got any support. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye!
Bye-bye.